What's happening, guys? Chad back here with you. I got the Flightone Falco X build open here on the bench, doing some cleanup on it, so I figured it would be a good time to show you exactly how it is built and set up. I literally have one pack through it, threw in the Wild Willy presets on the rates and filters and PIDs. Actually, I used the new freestyle rates. Everything's working great. I'm pretty freaking surprised on how great it flew just off of one battery, but that's one battery. We haven't done a lot of testing yet, but I did have some pretty bad video noise. So on the Revolt OSD, you have a 5-volt output and a VBAT input for output for your VTX. Now, when it comes to one of the most troublesome things that you'll see on any Flightone discussion group, it's going to be video noise, and people are like, add a cap, add a cap, add a cap. Try running your power off of this, hook it all up to VBAT, and sometimes you just got to try everything. So this has the Hobbywing 60 amp ESC on it, which comes with a 560 microfarad 35 volt cap pre-soldered. Now, I didn't want to unsolder that and throw on 1,000 or a 2,000 microfarad, which I typically would use on any build. Just overkill, right? It just the better way to do. You just got to do it once, get it over with. But on this build, I wanted to leave the small cap on there just to basically save some space and some weight and stuff like that. It's also makes it easier to kind of bend and twist my XT60 plug around the way that I wanted it to go. So things were getting a little cluttered back here. So I ended up moving my Crossfire Micro up front here. It's nice and secured, zip tied. And I got the Immortal T underneath there, which typically isn't the way I like to run stuff, but we're gonna run it that way and it'll be fine. We're not going miles with this thing. This is just a fun quad to play around with in the yard and the park. So what I ended up doing is something I really rarely do, and that was just powering the camera off of the actual VTX. The Unify Race 2 VTX is a 5-volt output, so I just did that back here, connected the camera ground to it. Typically, you would want to run another ground up to your flight controller so you don't get any OSD flickering or nothing like that. I haven't seen any here on the bench. I don't think I'm going to, since we already have a ground going up there and it seems to be working okay on the bench. Sometimes you'll see that flickering here. I did see the noisy video here when I first was building it, but I was hoping that it wouldn't get any worse. Usually once you put a load on the motors with the props and everything like that, it does, and it was pretty unflyable. So moral of the story is, Flightone regulators, I'm about a 50-50 on all the Flightone boards that I have purchased. Half of them have been very good and been able to clean the power, half of them have not. Is it bad power coming from the ESC? I don't know. A lot of this stuff is mystery and guesswork, and the only person I know of that I could ever see doing any legitimate testing of this stuff was that Drone Mesh guy, which I don't know if I'm subscribed to him anymore. He used to do a lot of testing on and stuff like that, but I think he went full-time and he just started blasting with a lot of stuff that I just wasn't really interested in. So regardless, this is the build here. While I got it apart, take a look at it and we'll reference it in future videos. I've got everything built up here just as Preston suggests in his a while back Flightone build video, which is basically to protect and isolate that gyro. And how we do that is we invert the board so the gyro is basically facing the ESC. We put 2 layers of O-rings in between there. You can see the black O-rings. Set that on top of the Hobbywing, and then the Hobbywing has a layer of O-rings underneath it. And then of course we have some plastic nuts underneath there that are securing the stack screws, and then nothing on top. It just all sandwiches straight down. Run the video wires for the camera and stuff around here, which I know is quite unusual. People like to stuff stuff underneath in between the flight controller and the ESC, but with Flightone, that is a big no-no. And of course you can see here we've got the crossfire stuff going all the way around the board as well. And then in the back we've got plenty of space back there. Everything's nice and open and clean. So put the top plate back on here. Been testing everything out. Everything's working fine now. And we'll go back outside and see how this goes. Put a little hot glue on here to protect my antenna. Got that done. I do recommend, even though you've already built and flown these quads, whenever you're messing around on the bench and resoldering and kind of messing around with things, definitely use either a voltmeter to check your continuity before you're plugging in and out, or just put in one of these smoke stoppers here, so that way you are fully protected. So I also, even though I've only put one pack through it, went back through, made sure I didn't miss any screws, and adjusted my camera settings on that RUNCAM Robin a little bit. So everything's good. We're gonna go out and test fly this again, but I just wanted everybody to take a quick look at the build and go through a little install setup and troubleshooting tips. So we'll be back on the next video. See you on the other side.